Okay, so I guess I'll call this part 4, but I'm now picking and choosing two of the problems that you're given where you were practicing or reviewing the sums and differences, right? And so my question to you is, are you going to have to memorize these, or do you have this written on a cheat sheet? So hopefully you have it written on a cheat sheet to reference, okay? And that's the way I'm going to approach it. So 16 said they want us to figure out the cosine of 195 degrees. So the first thing I would do is I don't know if you could see this here, but I would go to the unit circle that you have, because I know you're allowed to use a unit circle. And 195, I hope you agree, is a 180 plus an extra 15 degrees. So this would be my 195. So then, since I know 195 is in quadrant 3, I'm going to use a couple angles, or at least I want to start with one of the angles I know in quadrant 3. You know, you just have to think. So, for example, I figured out that if I do 225 and I take away 30, I get back to 195. So that's going to be the trick, is just trying to figure out a combination. Now, other combinations will work. Like we could have done, let's see here. I'm not sure. Well, to save time, hopefully you agree, I'm just going to take 225 minus 30. So, what do we know about cosine of a difference? Hopefully you're allowed to just reference it. You don't have to have it memorized. But the cosine of a difference is just cosine cosine plus sine sine. So, we're just going to simply go cosine of 225 times cosine of 30, and then we're going to plus sine 225 and sine of 30. So again, I'm just following that formula. Again, the cosine of a difference is cosine cosine plus sine sine. Now we can look these values up on the unit circle. So what's the cosine of 225? Now remember, cosine is x. So here's 225. The x is negative square root 2 over 2. So we have negative square root 2 over 2 times with, let's do the cosine of 30, which is square root 3 over 2, right? Again, if we look at the unit circle, the x right there, cosine of 30 is square root 3 over 2. Let's keep this kind of cleaned up here. Okay. And then we need to do the sine of 225. So we have a plus, and it happens to be the same value as cosine, right? And then the sine of 30 is 1/2. Let's just double check though. So right here is 225. Sine is the y coordinate. Notice the same as the x, or the cosine if you want to call it that. So negative square root 2 over 2. The sine of 30 is, of course, the y there is 1/2. So now we're basically almost done here, right? What I see here is if I times this together, I get negative square root 6 over 4 plus here negative square root 2 over 4. So if you look at your answers, you can see here it is. Negative 6 over 4 minus square root 2 over 4. All right, let's do the other one that you're given. Now, my recommendation, if they give you radians, I always like to convert it to degrees. So if I took 180, that's what pi is, divide by 12, I would get 15. So they're asking for the sine of 15. So if we look at the unit circle, 15 is right here, degrees, right? So how about we take 45 and minus the 30, and we get 15. So the trick is just to find the right combination, and there's more than one usually. But I think this is the simplest one. So we're just going to take 45 minus 30 because we know that's the same thing as 15. Now, what do we know about the sine of a difference? We're going to do sine and then cosine. Also, we have to watch the order. So sine of the first one, cosine of the second one, minus cosine of the first one, sine of the second one. So hopefully I have that right? So sine of the first one, cosine of the second angle. So we're going to take the sine of 45 times the cosine of the 30. See, first and then second one, right? And then we're supposed to minus cosine of the first one, sine of the second one. So hopefully you can see that sine 30 right there. How about that? So again, you would look at the unit circle here, and you would find out that the sine of 45 is square root 2 over 2. And we're going to times that with the cosine of 30 is square root 3 over 2. Again, just look it up in the table here. Remember, cosine is x, sine is y, minus cosine of 45 is square root 2 over 2, times sine of 30 is 1/2. So assuming I didn't make any silly mistakes, this is square root 6 over 4 minus, watch your signs now, this is square root 2 over 4. So if you look carefully, it's A, right? Square root 6 over 4 minus square root 2 over 4. And so that, in a nutshell, is how you do these sine and cosine and possibly tangent. Hopefully she won't give you a tangent. I think she pretty much will give you either a sine or cosine. But again, are you given this? Are you allowed to put this on your cheat sheet? Or do you have to have it memorized? All right? So if you're still confused by any of this, just see me early tomorrow morning before the finals. All right? So talk to you later.